Hello, welcome back, Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain a comedy, drama, fantasy film called 17 Again. Watch out and take care. Mike O'Donnell, a high school senior in 1989, appears to have it all. He's a star athlete on his way to a college scholarship. His middle name is Confidence. Scarlett, his attractive girlfriend, tells him she's pregnant right before his big game. Mike gives up everything in the middle of the game to be with her and the baby. Mike is currently residing with Ned, an outrageously wealthy high school acquaintance. Scarlett has kicked Mike out of the house. He's plainly irritated by Ned's consumption of Cap'n Crunch while having breakfast. The silver lining is that he is set to be promoted to regional sales manager after 16 years on the job. He's out of luck once more. Wendy, who has worked with the company for only 2 months, is promoted. His supervisor uses the fact that he is too valuable to be promoted as an excuse. As if his day couldn't get much worse, he returns to his high school and reflects on his basketball accomplishments and the life he may have had. The caretaker appears out of nowhere and greets Mike as if he knows him well. He asks him if he would do it all over again if given the chance. "Yeah, I would." The caretaker messed up just before his daughter Maggie arrived. He spends some time with his son Alex and Maggie, who has been accepted to Georgetown College. Mike inquires about his son's basketball practices. Alex appears uninterested. His children are uninterested in him. Scarlett annihilates Mike's stuff in the backyard. The divorce is in 2 weeks, and she accuses Mike of making excuses his entire life, such as how he could have had a far better life if he hadn't chased Scarlett and received the scholarship. This appears to be a recurring theme for Mike. His life had reached rock bottom. As he drives to Ned's house, his radio begins to malfunction, and a large storm approaches. Mike notices the enigmatic caretaker standing on a railing. He's gone again as the truck passes. When Mike looks in the lake, he notices a waterspout and himself when he was 17 years old. He gives in. He's back at Ned's in the morning, washing off the filth. He is surprised to see himself as young. Ned, not recognizing him, assaults him with an axe. Who has that many medieval weaponry strewn throughout their home? They continue the Star Wars-themed combat until Ned picks up a photo and recognizes Mike from his high school days. Ned uses his comics to try to figure out what happened to Mike. Mike is certain it was the caretaker. He goes to the school to find him. There is only one caretaker at this school, and she is a lady. Mike finds a puddle and decides to pursue it. He follows the puddle to the basketball court. He deduces that his spirit guide, nicknamed the caretaker, wishes for him to relive his senior year. Ned is playing casually on his 5 monitors at home. He screams in Mike's face that he will never go back there again. He arrives at the school, pretending to be Mike's father, to enroll him. Mike is dressed in what 1980s kids would consider fashionable. When they are summoned to see Jane, the principal, it's as if Ned is seeing an attractive woman for the first time and can't keep his hands to himself. Mike is accepted after a few inappropriate comments and an embarrassed laugh. They eventually go. Ned gets Mike a new Audi and some nice clothes because he recognizes he looks like a fool in the hall. Even after all of that, I would not describe his first day of school as divine. He receives a call from Scarlett regarding the divorce, which he had entirely forgotten about, and they reschedule. He displays some incredible acrobatics during basketball practice. Mike is astonished to learn that he is still teaching at the school when Coach Murphy calls. When he tells Ned about his progress, Ned tells him to get in trouble so he may see Jane, the principal. After completing his call, he notices his son, Alex, in a difficult predicament. Mike assists him, and they bond over lunch. Alex tells Mike everything about the school, from the hottest female Nicole to the greatest bully Stan. Because he is new here, he's Maggie's boyfriend and the one who taped him to the toilet. Mike is astounded by how little he knows about his children. Mike looks at Stan, forcing him to come up to Alex and intimidate him. This enrages Mike, and when asked what he'll do about it, he responds like a father. "I am going to call your parents." The entire cafeteria burst out laughing. Stan tests his reflexes after a failed attempt. While juggling the ball, Mike proceeds to explain why Stan is a bully to everyone in the cafeteria. To cut a long story short, Stan is a little wiener. Mike admits to Ned that he is a bad father. His kid has spent the last year as the punching bag at school, and his daughter is getting a tongue bath from a jerk. He comes to the conclusion that he turned 17 again in order to set his children on the proper road. He pays a visit to Alex and notices how well he shoots three-pointers and tells him he'll get him on the squad. Scarlett returns after happy hour and can't stop thinking about how young Mike looks exactly like her husband when he was young, presumably because he is him. Mike is at health class, where they are discussing safe coupling. This irritates him, so Stan takes a handful of dregs. He begins a lecture about how you should only do it if you are in love or married, which is both awkward and incredibly wholesome. People return the rubber after the speech, but Stan simply marks that he has enough for the entire weekend, which causes Mike to jump on him. But Stan overpowers him and beats him up. As a result, he is the laughingstock of the entire school. Also, Mike is in danger, as asked, and Ned has arrived to flirt with Jane. When she walks into her office, she warns Ned that peacocking isn't going to work on her. Later, he pays a visit to Scarlett, who is sober but still in shock. He flirtatiously offers her his assistance. Scarlett tells him about her ideas for the backyard. Lee nicknames her Scar, and she observes that only her husband does so. She informs him that there will be no cougar hunting, as though nothing would happen between them, but accepts his offer to help reconstruct the garden. Mike assists with gardening, and prepares Alex for the basketball team's next season. Meanwhile, Ned flirts with Jane. Alex made it through tryouts and is now a member of the team. And the backyard is no longer what it once was. Scarlett informs him she has a date and wants to get dressed, to which he responds that she's a great dancer, which means she has a moving body, which is rather improper. Inside, he observes Scarlett performing the snake dance and asks her to teach him. He's playing music from their wedding. Mike is obviously hitting on her. Scarlett does everything she can to avoid his approaches. Mike understandably knows what to do, and Alex catches them in the act when they lock eyes. Scarlett's date comes just as Mike sees him and calls him a jerk, and she passes him the divorce papers to give to Uncle Mike, much as Stan did when he drove up to pick up Maggie for a party. Mike phones Alex, and they both attend the party to keep Maggie safe. There, he encourages him to speak with his crush, Nicole. Meanwhile, he sets out to find Maggie. A handful of girls approach him, and he gives the whole "how can you expect others to respect you if you do not respect yourself" speech, to which he is told that he is not required to respect them. One of the girls even goes so far as to suggest that he doesn't even have to remember her name. Alex strikes up a discussion with Nicole by comparing her to his dog. His dog is no longer alive. He dismisses the entire unpleasant situation as nervousness as his jeans catch fire, and he takes the walk of shame. After Mike convinces Maggie that Stan is a jerk and she deserves a wonderful guy, she informs him that they will live together after she graduates and that she is going to community college. She passes up the opportunity to attend Georgetown. Mike abruptly begins speaking in her father's voice and prevents her from seeing Stan. As Alex goes in, she says, "Who do you think you are?" and walks away. It's a crucial game for them at school. They are behind by 1 point, and Mike decides to pass the ball to Alex rather than Stan for the game-winning point. Stan is enraged. Nicole offers Alex a warm and awkward congratulations. Ned is still looking for Jane. She declines his date proposal, and he then offers to purchase each pupil a laptop if she agrees. She can't say no to the kids, so the date is set up with the condition that he halt the inappropriate behaviors and presents. When Mike learns that Ned has agreed to a date, he throws a party at his place. Later, he sees Maggie crying and embraces her. Stan dumped her. What a shock. While he's uncomfortably close, he gives her a spiel about how one day she'll meet her soulmate. Mags falls in love with her father when he is 17. At that very time, a swift recovery from her sadness. Mike's celebration is open to the entire school. Nicole and Alex get along nicely. Meanwhile, Ned is having a good time with Jane. He admits to her that he doesn't know how to act regular and that he's a nerd, with a Lord of the Rings illusion thrown in for good measure. Jane continues to refer to him, as they begin communicating in Elvish. They know they are made for one another. Stan returns to the party and attempts to apologize to Maggie. She declines, stating that she is currently with someone else. Mike attempts to attack Stan, but misses, and Stan knocks him out. Mike awakens on Maggie's lap, Muttering gibberish, she understands why he didn't want her to be with Stan. Mike wanted her to be with him. She begins a game with him in which she is a lion and he is a gazelle. He attempts to argue that he is in love with someone else, but when she probes him, he is unable to respond. Jane and Ned's supper draws to an end, with what appears to be a joyful ending, except that his house is overrun with high schoolers. Scarlett attends the party in search of Alex. Mike informs her of Alex and Nicole's excellent news. When Jane and Ned arrive, she takes charge and orders everyone to go. Maggie watches Mike flirting with her mother, so he kisses Scarlett and gets slapped. He tries to track her down and convince her that he is the genuine Mike, the father of their children. Scarlett describes him as a freak who should avoid her. Maggie and her companions then arrive and slap him for being a perv. Jane informs him that she will be unable to meet with her student parents after everyone has left. Mike apologizes to Ned, smacks him multiple times, and declares that they are even. They hop in the Nedmobile in the morning to head to court, where Mike needs to attend in 22 minutes. They make a joke about themselves in court, but before they are let out by the guards, Scarlett requests that the judge allow Mike to read the letter he claims to have received from her spouse. Scarlett can connect to his long story about losing his way and falling in love with her. He does not want Scarlett to pursue the divorce. Mike walks away from the letter. Scarlett postpones the divorce and checks the letter. It contains the address of the courtroom. She begins to wonder. Scarlett later goes through her high school yearbook from 1989. Mike from back then looks exactly like Mike from now. Like in 1989, a scout will be present for Mike's scholarship game today, and Scarlett will be there with Maggie to observe the game. Ned arrives at the game to ask Jane for another opportunity, but she refuses because she cannot be seen with her student parents. Ned claims that no one can see him because he wears an invisibility cloak, and Jane responds by saying that he can pillage her dungeon at any moment, if you know what I mean. Before the game begins, Mike shows Scarlett a move he used to do, which sets Scarlett off, and she realizes it is her husband Mike. Mike waits again, this time with the ball in his hands. When he sees Scarlett depart, he rushes after her, meaning that if given the chance, he would not alter a thing and would want to be with her all over again. Mike just forgot about Scarlett, the best decision he's ever made. He attempts to explain the 17-year-old situation to her and how he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. They make things up. Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.